Well, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sure by now you all must have gathered loads of information from these various amazing sessions. Well, as you all know, we have global leaders and speakers from 25 countries. Well, this is a perfect platform to get new ideas, and these amazing sessions will definitely help you realize the challenges and how to overcome these challenges and much, much more. All right. So let me now go ahead and talk about our next topic, which is future of work and reskilling revolution. And now I'd like to invite on the screen Mr. Bhatt from Thai Organizing Committee and Thai Chartered Member, Hyderabad. A warm welcome to you, sir. Mr. Bhatt,
Thank you very much
over to you, sir.
for the welcome. And I get the privilege and honor to introduce Mr. Kaul Mehta. And I just heard he is all in one. And he is a serial entrepreneur and he has successful exits. And then he also has an element of him that is about impact. He has gone from Mumbai streets to White House as the Presidential Innovation Fellow. And he's not only an entrepreneur multiple times, not only an engineer, he's also a successful investor and a civil servant. So I haven't seen many folks like him, even countable, maybe one, two, who would play so many different roles so skillfully and successfully. This is an honor to have him here, and the floor is yours. Kaul Mehta will be looking forward to for the next many, many minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Bhatt. Very nice to meet you all, and it's a pleasure to be part of this Thai Global Summit. I've been associated with Thai for more than 20 years here in Silicon Valley, so it's always feels like coming back home. So our topic for today is the future of work and reskilling revolution. This topic, as you know, is very loaded. The term future of work is very it's become a buzzword, and but it is very loaded with so many different aspects of it that we can talk for it for days and months. We'll try to do some justice given the 20-minute time that we have, and try to bring some highlights of where we see this going. One of the implications of the future of work is on reskilling. So we'll be covering that aspect of it. There are many other aspects that we'll look at it. I would also try to address this from two sides. So one is from the organization, and then another from an individual, right? We have both responsibility as an individual. What do we do? What are the imperatives? And then one from the organization. So starting out, what are the big shifts or what are the drivers that's driving this future of work? So about 6 months back, Harvard Business Review wrote an article on future of work. You can see the screenshot on the right side, which says the forces shaping the future of work. And they identified, 5 big areas. It's mainly summarized on the left-hand side, which we've been speaking about here in the Valley for almost for the past 5 or 6 years since we got started with EdCast. And the 3 big key drivers are, one is that there is a changing workforce. We all can see it, all around us. Boomers are retiring, millennials in the workforce. We have 3 generations or 4 generations of workforce in our organizations. There's shorter tenure. There's a widening skills gap. There is a leadership gap given all this workforce changes. So that's one aspect of it. It's about the workforce. The second big thing is the changing workplace and the changing nature of the work itself. We've seen with very recently with COVID-19 over the past few months, the work location is changing. We're all working from home. I'm speaking today from my home office. The speed of business is that it's more than the lightning speed now. We have much more shorter skills life. There's a less assigned, skilling, training. Employees have to become responsible for their own continuous upskilling. So there's a lot of changes that's happening in the nature of work and where the work gets performed and who actually does the work. And automation, obviously, that's driving a big part of this changing work. The third big driver is digital transformation, and this has been going on for past, at least a decade, or more than that, since the internet started. But in the last few years, and especially with COVID, you've heard Satya Nadella speaking about how much digital transformation has happened just in the 6 months that we would expect in maybe 6 years. So everyone is connected, micro moments, rich videos, self-publishing. These are all this stuff that is completely changing how we work, how we live, how we interact, how we collaborate. So these are the fundamental underpinnings. And then there are implications of all of this, which is the growing demand for skills, the skills crisis, which is one of the big implication of this, all these changes. So if we look at how big is the skills crisis, it's pretty staggering numbers. This is data from various sources, from the World Economic Forum, from University of Oxford Research, and Accenture. And it's if you just add up these numbers, it's coming to almost like $11.5 trillion in impact to the GDP. And when you add up just some of these countries here, there's about roughly 12 countries mentioned here. India is right there, right after China, and 1.9 billion, almost close to 1.9 trillion, so almost $2 trillion impact to the economy over a 10-year period. So from 2018 to 2028, that is so roughly, about $1 trillion a year impact due to the skills crisis, and mainly the changes that we saw that are driving the future of work. And what is actually getting impacted? And this is a chart, and I know it's an eye chart, but we'll be happy to share this presentation so that you can look at it. But there is a lot of great research around which occupations, which specific job roles, and which specific skills are getting obsoleted. And you see here some data around the occupations. You see some of the data around the skills that are becoming in demand versus the skills that are no longer needed as they are getting automated. So you can see here the percentage of worker time potentially augmented or automated by intelligent technologies. And this has pretty vast implications on organizations, on companies, on businesses, and on individuals. And we'll look at it, what they are. So we all need some kind of a framework to understand a very complex topic like future of work and all these implications. So I looked around, and we've been studying a lot of different future of work framework from various organizations and companies. And the best place that I could find was actually NASA, one of my favorite organizations as a space enthusiast. And NASA has some of the smartest people because they have to hire the smartest people. They have to explore the unknown. They have to be very futuristic and long-term thinking, and as well as they're always working on technologies that are far advanced. So this is the best place to go and learn. And this is a future of work framework that NASA has put together. And it's a public domain, so the link is here. This is applicable, and we've been working with hundreds of Fortune 1000 companies, and we found that this framework works extremely well, even in private sector organizations. What you see here is they've identified 8 themes, which are very critical, that needs to be addressed as a part of being relevant in this new world of work. The fundamentals doesn't change at the center. It's still the culture. That's very, very critical for any organization to survive and thrive. But these 8 themes are really very different than what we've seen over the past 10 or 20 years. I'll quickly go through it given the 20-minute time constraint, but we can literally spend hours or days on each one of them, and then working on how to actually make that implementable, whether in an organization or an individual. But the number one theme is all about design for agility and focusing on impact. The skills will keep continuing to change. The roles will continue to change. Businesses will continue to change. One fundamental skill that all of us require is to being agile. And what it means for organization is resilience. And we've all seen in COVID-19 how much important this was, the skill for the agility skill for individuals and the resilience for an organization. The second theme is about redefining talent. So, talent in the past, we always associate that with human talent, but the reason to redefine now is that we have human and machine talent, and they are working together. And how do we not just replace, but wherever possible, augment it? Because we don't just need automation, but we need some of the other human traits and human character, like empathy and compassion and things like that are very critical, and will take maybe forever for machines to get to that. So a combination of human and machine talent that would redefine the talent, and requires a new talent architecture for that. The third theme is about learning and developing for a lifetime. And so all of us have to become lifelong learners. And, that's where kind of like my journey began 6 years back, starting EdCast to actually with a mission to help everyone become a lifelong learner. And this is very, very critical for pretty much everyone. Theme 4 is about deploying talent and mobilizing career. We need to provide career mobility, both internally and externally, with a marketplace type platforms, so that people can find the right career, the right place that they would want to work. Theme 5 is about collaboration in the modern workspace, which means there's digital workspace. And I think there's enough that we've gone through the importance of collaboration digitally over the last 9 months of COVID. So that's the theme 5. And this was, by the way, designed before COVID, pre-COVID. So you can see how much relevant this framework is. The theme 6 is about security, becomes very critical, value sharing. Theme 7 is about prioritizing digital transformation. We all saw how important and critical and how rapidly the digital transformation happened over the past 9 months. And this framework, as I mentioned, was designed pre-COVID, and already it highlighted the importance of prioritizing digital transformation. And finally, theme 8 is that unleashing automation, analytics, algorithms, and AI. These are the 4 core technologies that, rather than being disrupted with these technologies, we have to embrace this technology and proactively unleash them to create a human work and human and automation working together. So, how does it all come together at an individual level, right? So if you are, here is Sally, which is an individual, like one of us, 2 or 3 billion knowledge worker. And a typical life cycle of an employee or a knowledge workers goes through at least these 5 key moments of new, deep, fast change move. And at each step of the way, you see here that there is a nice handshake between human and automation. And Sally not only has to upskill herself, but Sally also needs to learn some of the new technologies so that she can remain relevant and can leverage all this cool stuff and tech that she's got available to not make herself obsoleted. And what are the core tech that drives that? The importance of now collective intelligence. And again, we've seen this with work from home. Collective intelligence of bringing together experts and people across the organization, from entire ecosystem working together collectively, very, very critical to create that big, global brain. Collaborative upskilling becomes critical. We talked about humans and robots working together, and then having some kind of a skills economy, because really in this future of work, the currency is skills. And there is that's the most portable currency, and that's your currency or your passport for mobility. I'm going to go a little bit quickly for the last 4 or 5 minutes. So what's happening at the government level with all these changes that are happening for organizations, for individuals? That's a lot of change to cope with. Various countries have started working on a nationwide upskilling plan. You see here, France has rolled out something. Canada is working on it. Egypt has worked on something. Singapore has rolled out a government grant to upskill every single Singapore citizen. China's working on something. Well, the great news is, India, in India, NASSCOM launched over about 2.5 years back a program called Future Skills to upskill, reskill the IT workforce with its member firms. This is a screenshot of that Future Skills, and it's doing extremely well with almost close to now 500,000 people enrolled by member companies from NASSCOM, and learning on 56 plus new emerging technology roles and skills. And recently, a few weeks back, NASSCOM and MIT launched another program of future skills called Future Skills Prime, which is for the entire citizen of India, and you can log in and sign up for that. So how does it all come together? Well, the key thing now, and one of the big takeaway from this presentation, is that if there is one thing, that is to remember that now learning and working has to become one. It's not a two separate activity. It's not front loaded in our life that the first 22 years, 24 years we are in college, and then for the rest of our life we work. You see here in a typical environment where on the left hand side is all the different learning sources, right hand side we do the work. But the same chart applies in our life, where the first half of our life, or not even first half, the first 30 years or 25 years of our life, we learn and then we try to apply. That model is obsoleted. That's a industrial era model. The new model is that it all comes together as a single activity, and how you merge and combine learning as a part of working and continuously upskilling. And then one last point is about who will pay for all of this. And here is an interesting thought that I've been working with various governments and organizations and nonprofits around the world about a whole new idea. That just like we have a retirement savings plan, like in the United States, we have 401k. We've been talking about, hey, people need reskilling way before they will hit retirement. So we need a 401 ed as opposed to 401k. I mean, you'll still continue to have 401k, but 401 ed is needed. And everyone needs to start saving in that. Just like we save for our retirement, we need to save for our reskilling, and continue to use that fund to remain relevant and to remain positive contributor to the society. So with that, I will leave with just the last chart on key impact measurement, because unless we don't measure something, we don't know whether we are doing it right. So what are the new measurements for the future of work? And there's a few about, from an organization standpoint. Number one is the velocity of the knowledge flow of how experts, and we saw about collective intelligence and collective knowledge sharing become super critical to create that culture at the center. Second, for an individual, we've introduced this new term. We've all heard about IQ and EQ. They're both super important. But in this new age of future of work, there's a third one, which we call LQ, which is your learnability quotient. You remember the theme one of the NASA Future of Work talks about agility. How do you measure agility? The measurement for agility is this learnability quotient, how fast you are, how fast learner you are to be able to adapt to new situations and new work. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for inviting me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions over Twitter handle or on LinkedIn, or feel free to reach out to me through any of the social media or email. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much for sharing those very, very useful insights. Well, as very wonderfully explained by Mr. Karl Mehta, if you want to be successful, ladies and gentlemen, any area of your life, be a lifelong learner. Thank you very, very much, sir, for joining us today and really explaining it so beautifully. Thank you once again.